Faction. So today, we're currently live over on Purple. So come on in there. We're hanging out. We're doing Fortnite right now, and then we're gonna go over to Overwatch. But today we got the TWAB from the Destiny community team. This week in Destiny, they're doing it a bit early because tomorrow is Thanksgiving, for those that celebrate it. So they're taking tomorrow to spend time with family. So that's why we're getting this today. So a brief little overview before Season of the Witch launches this coming Tuesday. The newest collab, the stuff for the seasonal artifacts and its perks, the changes coming to abilities, and a lot of exotic armor pieces. The Fireteam Finder, new cutscenes have been added to the archives, expansions on sale, player support, and movie art and art of the week. So revealed yesterday, our latest collab, Saladin might call him the White Wolf. Marasov would refer to him as Gwenblid, and the Cabal would revel in the stories of the Butcher of the Balvakin. He has many names, but for us, he's Garrett of Rivia, whose gear is our focus of our latest collaboration. So this is what the armor looks like. So this is the Titan, the Warlock, and the Hunter. I like the Titan one. I really like the chainmail looking aesthetic here, especially with that with everything about him. This feels more Witcher to me. So if you're a fan of The Witcher, clearly you're going to be getting this on your Titan. Um, the Hunter one, I feel like is more of like the if you go for more speed. Um, and the Hunter, the Warlock is more like arcane feeling look to it. I hope that this necklace isn't purely part of the chest piece, because the Warlock chest piece to me feels very light. I like the gauntlets. I like the helmet. The boots are cool. The rope, and I you can't see the bond, and I feel like that's the problem. I wish the bond was kind of shown off. If the bond has something similar to the symbol of the Witcher, this wolf here, that would be cool. I like the crack here on the helmet. Hopefully that changes the shaders and doesn't just stay that red. The visor on the Warlock is cool. The little crack here is very nice. I hope these reds will change. Other than that, very very cool collaboration. New artifact. It's high time we show you the upcoming season artifact perks so that you can start thinking about new builds. We're focusing on three elements in this new one: solar, strand, and stasis. There's also focus on rocket launchers, some new and very strong perks around ignitions and shatter, and even some beloved perks are coming back. This is the Queen's Foil Sensor. So this is what we got: anti-barrier sidearm. Let's go. Okay, I'm sorry, I got hyped. I see sidearm. So we're gonna focus on column one and then go through the other columns. So anti-barrier sidearm, unstoppable hand cannon, unstoppable bow, overload auto rifle, overload pulse rifle. So you really only have one barrier. That's gonna make things very different. Flame, fiber, and freeze combines solar strand and solar stasis siphon mods into one. So that makes using, you know, your solar weapons along with your any strand or stasis really good if you want to have more orbs of power made. Uh, Kindling trigger. Radiant causes solar weapons to apply scorch to unscorched combatants. That's good for a lot of soul. Okay. Okay, so that's gonna be good for overload auto rifle with the what's it called? A Met. Blast radius. Rapid final blows with rocket launchers and grenade launchers grant armor charge. That's going to make chain reaction and cluster bomb feel very nice. But mostly chain reaction, I feel, especially with grenade launchers. Um, Improves benefits to the Sundering, nano munitions, and nanotech tracer rocket origins. Additionally, weapons with these traits are always overcharged. From whence you came, abil- increases ability damage to Taken and Scorn combatants. So I have a feeling that Scorn and Taken are going to be very heavy this coming season. Flint Striker. Solar weapons precision hits and rapid solar precision final blows grant radiant. So that with this will work together. Especially with the Emet. Torch. While radiant, deal increased weapon damage to guns affected by strand and stasis debuffs. So Emet, Strand, Warlock. Okay. Or that would be good on my pulse rifle, my battler. Huh. There's not a lot of solar sidearms either. So that'll be a problem for barrier. But if I run a different kind of solar weapon, Unstoppable bow, I think I like more than Unstoppable hand cannon. That's just me personally. So if I run my Strand Lock, get Radiant, this will work. So basically running with anyone that can make... So a Hunter with their dodge makes me Radiant. I suspend a target, and then I can deal increased weapon damage. So like with a Met. Okay. Casting your solo super grants Radiant to nearby teammates, increases the damage of your super for each nearby ally. Increase benefits for noble deeds, unsatiated hunger, head rush, and Dragon's Vengeance. That's a new one. I don't know what the Sundering is. What that perk is called, but Dragon's Vengeance sounds like a new one for this season. So I guarantee you our weapons from Season of the Witch will have Dragon's Vengeance on them. Wished into being. While your super is nearly fully charged, ability final blow spawn overpower. Wearing Season of the Witch armor decreases super amount threshold. Okay, so the more armor you have with this perk, that's going to make wearing this armor in PvP and everything a little more interesting. Unraveling rounds, so picking up Orbs of Power grants unraveling rounds to your weapons. Pillar of Ice, killing an encased combatant spawns stasis crystals. Revitalizing Blast, causing damage with a solar ability, weakens champions and boss. Oh! So yeah. Titans and Warlocks, this is a good one for you. It's a weakening effect. That's really good. Overload Rocket Launcher. Huh. No, I feel Overload Rocket Launcher. That's a new one. Like, I think that would be good, like, if you had, Lasting Impression. Now I think of it. Oh my god, I made that video the other day, and I couldn't remember the name of Lasting Impression. I mean, yeah, if you want to run Lasting Impression on that, you can. Dragon's Bite. Breaking the combatant with a strand or stasis weapon has a chance to either suspend or freeze that combatant. Wearing Season of the Witch armor increases this chance. So they really want people to use this armor more. Is how I see it. Huh. That makes using strand and stasis weapons in... Huh. That makes that bow we got, the Velgis Curve, a little more interesting to use. Breaking a shield with it. I would say freezing is probably be more effective than suspend, considering the suspend nerf. Damaging unravel targets with weapon occasionally will spawn a threadling. They're just really making me just want to use strand more than I already do. Shattering encased targets. Okay, shattering is encased targets and stasis crystals deals increased damage. Shattering a stasis crystal releases a shard of ice that damages and slows targets. While radiant, solar precision funded blows cause combatants to ignite. I mean, honestly, I would just have something with incandescent on it at that point. Solo operative. While you are the only member of your fire team, you deal increase. Okay, this is going to be good for everyone trying to do solo anything. Argent Ordnance. Firing a rocket launcher consumes 1 stack of armor charge, granting increased damage and reload speed until you reload or stow your rocket. So fire, lose an armor charge, and basically just get increased damage and reload speed. Okay. Ability changes. Let's get into this. I like this artifact. I think this is a very good artifact to have. This season's artifact is kind of like, they delve too much into their newer stuff. I think when they ever delve too hard into that, it's like, I don't like it. But ability changes. This is going to be crucial for PvP. Ensuring abilities, particularly those in our longer cooldown tiers, meet their intended cost to output ratio, reducing the cases of player survivability that exceed our power bar, making the first steps at tuning Well of Radiance to Ward of Dawn, taking a pass at stasis abilities, with more to come in the future. Okay, let's get started. We've laid out the number of these in previous posts, but it's worth repeating. We believe that powerful abilities need to come at a meaningful cost to the player, to force difficult decisions about what fits best into their build. To play it plainly, we're not hitting that goal. There are many build crafting avenues that grant flat chunks of ability energy and ignore ability cooldown tiers. This gives them extremely inconsistent value depending on what grenade, melee, or class ability you have equipped. Here's an example. A perk that grants 10% grenade energy on activation results in a cooldown of 6.4 seconds to a firebolt grenade, but results in a cooldown of 15.2 seconds for a lightning grenade. When players stack these build crafting elements together, grenade kickstart, Nation, Absolution, Demolitions, and a chunk energy fragment, it results in long cooldown abilities having uptime that is dramatically higher than what we intended. With Season of the Wish, we are taking the first step to address that problem. Starting in version 7.3, the passive base cooldown tiers for the abilities will also influence the amount of chunk energy they receive from perks. For our fast charging abilities, things are not changing, but as we progress through the passive cooldown tiers into the slower charging abilities, that immediate chunk will be reduced to a floor 50 of our... Okay. So basically, for your grenades and your class abilities, whatever gives you that solid burst is reduced by half. So let's say you have something like you're using a grenade that has a higher cooldown, but you use that and you're getting it back more compared to the stuff that has less time. You'll get that 50% reduction. Makes sense. And then 60% for the slower melee. Here's an example. A perk that grants a base value of 10 grenade energy on activation results in a cooldown of 6.4 seconds for the firebolt, and results in a cooldown of 7.6 for a lightning grenade. Okay. That would be interesting. We're also excluding any perk that either initially grants a full refund, like Knock 'em Down, or targets only single or specific ability, like Shinobu's Vow. Okay. Staying alive. As our player elected difficulty activities have expanded in recent years, we shifted the sandbox to enable more of our often risky gameplay loops to feel effective against increasingly difficult lineups with combatants. This can be seen in addition of more defense or support focused tools, the standardization of overshields, restoration, cure, and woven mail. However, we still need our aspirational content to remain challenging. We are currently in a position where applying combat pressure to well-crafted players is extremely difficult, which doesn't leave our activity teams with many options for tuning difficulty while still having things feel fair across the board. In short, player survivability at the top end is too high, a problem we've touched on in the past, and we need to find a better balance between the two extremes of enabling players to heedlessly dive into the fray or make it feel like a long-range chip damage is the only option to clear an encounter. To that end, we're making an initial pass at tuning some of our top-end outliers, but we anticipate that this process will take place over many releases. So the first pass they're going to be looking at is targeting Woven Mail, Restoration, and Devour. In 7.2, they took a stab at the Woven Mail's PvE damage reduction, but in version 7.3, they're reducing it a further 10%. So now, reduced damage against in PvE can balance to 45. Now, they're taking a pass at Restoration. Restoration's heal rate is being reduced in both PvE and PvP, similar to the Woven Mail case. We want to see how this feels sitting alongside some of the changes to Throne Hammer and Soul Invictus further down. So, now in PvE, Restoration will heal for 35 health per second, in PvP 17. And then for times 2, it's going to be 25 and 50 in PvE. Lastly, Devour, whose potency is largely due to the ease of use of the Echo Starvation fragment, which initially developed where fewer orbs of power being generated. We are making a targeted change to Devour that excludes Voidwalkers, reducing its heal amount to 100% unless Feed the Void is equipped. For our Voidwalkers out there, we are also increasing the amount of grenade energy that Devour grants with Feed the Void to offset the chunk of energy detailed above. So Devour, the healing amount both on activation and when refreshed, reduced from a full heal to 100% unless Feed the Void was equipped. Now refills health and shield sections more smoothly rather than adding health to each section separately. Feed the Void, increase the grenade energy regeneration per kill while Devour is active. This amount varies based on the type of target defeated. Now also improves the strength of Devour's heal when equipped. Ongoing process, okay. Sprint and slide melees. In update 3.4, we made a decision to remove the capability of shoulder charge abilities Shield Bash, Seismic Strike, and Hammer Strike to one-shot players. This was part of an ongoing effort to make any one-shot ability in the game come at a significant risk or cost, where that's a significant wind-up, Thunderclap, and Consecration. Aim skill like the Flux Grenade, or specific build crafting choice for like Peregrine Greaves. We believe that this is still the right call, and we want to maintain the intended level of risk for using a powerful melee ability against players. Players are currently able to circumvent this change by sliding, firing their weapon, and still being able to initiate the shoulder charge or slide melee. This results in an effective one-shot kill that is extremely difficult to track or understand if you're on the receiving end. Starting in Season the Witch, firing your weapon while sliding will now prevent any activation of sprint or slide activated melees. Originally, we intended for this change to be isolated to the shoulder charge abilities, but in our initial playtest, we realized that shoulder charge was easily replaceable with Tempest Strike, Lightning Surge, or other melee abilities, so including them in our change as well. This will affect melee abilities. So, Tempest Strike, Lightning Surge, Fletched Storm, Consecration, Howl of the Storm, Hammer Strike, Shield Bash, Seismic Strike. Alongside this change, we are increasing the potency of Tempest Strike, which has felt somewhat left behind given the powerful synergy between Flow State and Lethal Current. So, they're increasing the damage of Tempest Strike, rework the tracking behavior to be more consistent at longer ranges, and improve... Okay. With Season of the Witch, we released Banner of War, which has quickly jumped to the top aspect list for our Titan players. It's currently equipped to 20% of all Titan players in Season of the Witch. Okay. This rivaled only by Into the Fray at 15%, which is Banner's natural pairing. We're very happy with Banner of War that has supported the Berserker class fantasy and don't want to reduce its ability to do so when at maximum charge. However, it's a little bit too easy to build up to that maximum carnage very quickly in content with a sufficient density of combatants, especially with helps of your teammate. In Season of the Wish, we are making a change to slow down the charge progression, increasing the number of defeats required to level the banner up at each tier. As part of this change, we're also slightly increasing the timer extension granted to each enemy defeated to compensate. Huh. Fixed an issue where unpowered swords are being granted a damage boost by Banner of War. Let's talk bonk. Prior to Solo 3.0, Throwing Hammer was encoded the Devastator subclass tree, which didn't have many survivability tools, other than picking up the hammer after a hit. This meant players needed to be significantly more careful in their play, and generally weren't capable of standing in the champion's face. Okay. Oh, so instead of getting it back instantly, it now returns melee energy over 1.4 seconds, and they increase the tracking strength of it. Sunspots have had to reduce to their by 12 seconds. This duration is only ever reached when the player is standing inside the sunspot. Sunspot duration without the owner standing in it is unchanged at 5 seconds. Now for Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn. with update 3.4, we made a change at our super cooldowns, placing Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn in the fastest charging tier. This decision was largely based on their kill potential versus supers that deal burst damage or allow you to roam the field for potential team wipes. This game has changed significantly since then, and with changes to Trials of Osiris, Dominion as a game mode, and the shorter round times in general, we need to reevaluate their placement. So we are increasing the base cooldown by 1, matching the passive cooldowns of some of our burst supers, like Blade Barrage or Chaos Reach. Our goal is for Well and War to have stronger competition in round-based modes, giving other players more time to effectively deal with them under the time pressure that a mode like Dominion has. So Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn have an increased base cooldown from 417 seconds to 455. On the longer time frame, we are evaluating Ward and Well's place in the sandbox more fundamentally. These two supers are currently operating in a too similar space, leaving little room for them to breathe on their own. Well of Radiance in particularly offers too much. It is effective and vulnerability. That is something that we do not believe a sandbox can or should continue to support. We are not making any changes to Well of War with Season the Witch, but we have a subtle suite of future changes planned to reduce Well's dominance in PvE and push gameplay space of these two supers further apart. We'll provide more details closer to that release. Okay. My only issue with you taking Well out of having this whole thing is there's Ward of Dawn and Well of Radiance are the only two support-based things that exist inside Destiny 2. That provide healing, overshield, damage buff, whatever. The Hunter Super doesn't quite do that. Yes, the Tether does, debuff the enemy, but it doesn't allow for our Hunter to be more of the damage dealer. So to me, that's okay. I see why you're doing it, but also a week and a half ago, Stasis turned 3 years old. A lot has happened in that time. We've seen massive changes to the sandbox as we released Light 3.0 and added Strand as the 5th damage type, and the overall power bar of the sandbox has shifted significantly, resulting in Stasis being left behind. We have given Stasis some tuning updates here and there, but we believe it's time for a bigger shot in the arm. Starting Season of the Witch and continuing the final shape, we are making a number of quality life changes to improve Stasis reliability in combat. And we're revaluing some of our previous tuning changes to Stasis abilities with the goal of bringing them up to the current ability power bar. Let's start with the fragments. So, with Whisper of Hadrons, they removed the 10 strength penalty. Whisper of Impetus, they now provides 10 resilience. Whisper of Shards no longer grants 10 resilience. Whisper of Hunger, instead of just taking away your mobility and your intellect, it now will take away 20 strength. And Whisper of Bonds, they removed the 10 discipline penalty. For our hunters, we're making changes to improve the reliability of Withering Blade in all content and Winter Shrouds in PvE. Withering Blade now travels faster, has a longer lifetime, and bounces an additional time before expiring, and is more consistent in finding the target before and after a bounce. In Winter Shroud, that gives it an update more forgiving against PvE combatants, with a longer cooldown and increased area of effect. We are also increasing its slow stack count against PvE combatants from 40 to 60, enabling things like 6 Coyote to more easily freeze enemies, or for a freeze to occur more quickly after a quick Dustfield dodge combo. For Titans, we are walking back the changes made in hotfix 3.111 and 3.203 to Shiver Strike and Glacial Quake that no longer fit the current sandbox. We returned the ability to freeze nearby players on a cast of Glacial Quake with a reduced radius from the previous version, making casting in close quarters safer in its current iteration. For Shiver Strike, we restored its slow application to players on a hit. This was previously removed in a world where collision damage was still lethal to players. Now that players don't need to be able to air brake with a movement mode or risk being splattered. Okay. We're also implementing a change to improve Howl of the Storm's consistency against players, because seeing a target touch a stasis crystal created by a Howl and not being frozen is a frustrating experience. Okay. For Warlocks, we're taking a couple quality of life improvements to Frost Pulse and Penumbral Blast. Shanebinder is a strong pick already, and we don't feel like it needs much of a push, so we're focusing on where it fails in reliability tests. Frost Pulse area effect is being increased in PvE, and we've improved its network performance. Significantly more consistent against fast-moving targets. This change involved reworking this ability applies freezes to targets, reducing the tendency between when the ability is activated and when the target is actually frozen. The freeze detonation size in PvE commands has been increased to 8.5 meters. Penumbral Blast is intended to be a skill shot with a high payout, but with the change made in hotpicks, reduces detonation size when impacting the environment can sometimes still make it feel too inconsistent. So now, when it hits the environment, and the detonation will now have a 2 meter size. Okay. Shadebinders will also directly receive a benefit from a tuning change made to a Glacial Grenade. Currently, Bleak Watcher's cooldown is directly tied to the base cooldown of Glacial Grenade. Regardless of what grenade you have equipped with Update 3.1, Glacial Grenade's cooldown is being reduced, which is translated to a lower Bleak Watcher cooldown. Glacial Grenade reduce the base cooldown from 152 to 121. Cooldown penalties for Dustfield Grenade and Cold Snap when Bleak Watcher is equipped have also been updated, so that the cooldowns match the new Glacial Grenade cooldowns. With Cold Snap Grenade's reliability has been significantly improved in the recent passes, there are instances where it can fail to meet applications and needs further tweaks. Fix an issue where the Seeker is not consistently created in the direction the projectile is moving after a bounce. Increase the arming shape to 1.4 meters. Tracking sticks now ramps up from full strength from 0 over the course of the grenade's lifetime, rather than immediately turning off after the Seeker reached a 0.5 second lifetime. Finally, we are increasing the bonus that special weapons deal to frozen targets by a small amount, to up to 10%. There aren't only changes for stasis that we have in the works, we're also have some long requested changes for future releases that we'll discuss when they get closer. Here's a sneak peek. A new stasis keyword template called Frost Armor, aimed at addressing some player feedback regarding survivability when running stasis, not particularly when using Whisper, Rhyme, or Whisper Your Chains. Additional tuning and reworks for the existing fragments, and adding additional behaviors to the harvest aspects. Fullest of patch notes, which including a few items we didn't mention. As always, we continue to suggest feedback. Okay, armor changes. This is something that we're here for. Shards of Galanor. Throwing knife kills now grant super energy ranging between 2.5% and 5% depending on what enemy you kill. Ophidia Space kills now grant a stacking. Knife kills now grant a stacking damage bonus. 30, 60, 100 for 5 seconds to throwing knives. Dodging will refresh it. Feedback. Remove the requirement to have full class ability to benefit from the movement bonus. Reduce the airborne stuff. Now provides damage resistance against combatants while airborne. Mechaneer's Trick Sleeve side item damage bonus now persists for 5 seconds after your shield begins to recharge. Side item kills will extend this duration by 3 and completely reload your side item from reserves. The damage bonus in PvP has been reduced. Now is plus 10 of sidearm bonus instead of plus 35. Bombardiers now 20 slow sacks to enemy players and 40 to PvE. Triton Verse increased the melee glaive damage bonus when surrounded by 100% in PvP. Celestial Nighthawk precision kills now grant super energy ranging between. Okay, that's interesting. It allows for Celestial Nighthawks to at least try to get their super back. Severance Enclosure increased the size and damage of the explosion. Kills with the exotic explosion will now trigger an additional explosion. Peregrine Greaves, you have to be airborne for a brief time for the exotic effect to apply. Damaging champions, tormentors, and mini-boss with the shoulder charge further deals increased damage and refunds your melee energy. Wormgod Caress. Burning Fist exotic has been reworked. It now has a meter that increases with melee kills and finishers and decays over time. The meter is broken up into 5 sections, which provide escalating melee and glaive damage bonuses, the upper end providing an escalating weapon damage bonus. As the meter decays, it passes back through the earlier tiers, then deactivating. The meter now decays more frequently. Ashen Wake. Fusion grenades will now stun unstoppable champions. Make Solar Titans feel a little bit better. Syntheseps. They're bringing this thing into line, it seems like. Remove the extended melee lunge distance. Now improves weapon handling and reload speed when surrounded. Reduce the PvE surrounded bonus to 165, but increase glaive melee damage bonus. Why, whenever there's something melee focused, it's like glaive. Just glaive. Precious Scars. Kills with weapon matching your subclass now apply restoration. Precious Scars. I have to look at what that one does. Okay. Bardoth Wrathweavers. What are those? Oh, that's the... Okay, that's those. So now when you cast a Frostpulse Swift, nearby enemies gain 2 tier Stasis Surge bonus for 10 seconds of PvE and 5. They also gain a 50% 50 HP overshield. With stasis damage bonus provided by to allies by Winter's Wrath Shockwave is now a tier 4 stasis surge weapon bonus. When your Winter's Wrath ends, you gain a tier 4 stasis surge weapon bonus as well. Apophis Veil. Casting your super now grants Cure tier 3 for you and nearby allies. After your super ends, you gain a temporarily increased grenade and melee and grenade recharge. Felwinter's Lie. Move the size of the weakening burst and duration weaken 1 tier against Altars except for finishers against bosses, which retains the maximum. Okay, Karsten armaments, finishers, and kills now grant different things. Oh, a big change to the Aeons. So, for Sector Force, rapid precision hits provide quicker reload and weapon swap speeds, and this bonus lasts for 10 seconds, up from 6 seconds. No longer grants melee grenade and or super energy on stunning a champion or defeating a boss. Instead, stunning a champion or rapid hits against a champion, elites, or mini bosses will mark them for your allies. allies deal 20% more damage to marked targets. When the target is first marked, nearby alien cult members who do not have Sect of Force equipped gain grenade and melee energy. Sect of Insight is strong for PvE games, and they don't want to change that. The one modification they do want to make is changing the cult ally bonuses to super energy instead of weapon damage, as we want Sect of Force to be a source of weapon bonuses. Nearby alien cult allies who do not have Sect of Insight role equipped no longer gain a bonus to weapon damage for a short time. Instead, they gain a burst of super energy. Sect of Vigor. Sect of Vigor had been a strong thing for supporting role. We wanted to boost its effectiveness, so now it provides a damage resistance against all combatants when an ally is dead or is being resurrected, in addition to the existing class ability energy. When you cast your super, nearby allies no longer gain an instant burst of healing or an overshield. Instead, nearby critically wounded enemies gain a damage resistance from the combatants as long as they stay near you. Nearby alien cults who do not have Sect of Vigor role equipped will now recover class ability more quickly. These are all the changes planned that will be available the moment Season of the Witch launches. Always let us know. This one is the only interesting one. I don't care about the rest. Armor mod changes. Oh, God. Okay. So these are all the things that gave, blah, 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 blah. Fireteam Finder updates to their cutscene archive. Some Black Friday stuff. Movies and art of the week. Wow. That was something. So yeah, the ability changes for stasis. I mean, I think it's more interesting, but I'm not really kind of like, oh my god, here we go. I think the only good thing I can take out of this is this. So, Overload Auto Rifle, Blast Rate, Kindling Trigger, Flint Striker, and Solo Operative. Really the only, interesting things I see here. Not just me, though. But, anyways, that's it. I'm going to get back to doing some gaming. And I need to start doing something. I will get this video out to you guys probably at some point today. So, with that being said, guys, have a good one and have a great Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. If not, well, eat something good. But not too much. Don't want you guys getting sick. Okay? I don't need you coming in one day and you're puking your guts up because you freaking ate too much the other day. But have a good one. See you later.